Black Ops 7 is officially here, so we got to start things off on the right foot by giving you the absolute best settings to be using in the game right now. I've been live streaming literally 24/7, and the number one question I get is about the settings. So they did nerf aim assist, so we're going to change some things around so we can make it as strong as possible. But before we get any further, do yourselves a favor and click that thumbs up button for some good luck in your first game of Black Ops 7, and make sure you guys subscribe with notifications on, because I got a whole lot more videos coming your way. Now with all that being said, man, let's get into these settings. Now we're gonna be starting off with the controller settings. So before we get into those, this is the controller I'm rocking with. We got the PlayStation 5 DualSense Edge. This is literally the only PS5 controller I personally use. I don't like the scuffs. I don't care for battle beavers. This bad boy right here gets the job done. Now, it is a little dirty, so, you know, my bad. But what makes this thing so special are these pedals here on the back. So essentially I have these bind to jump. So I jump with this one right here, and then I crouch and slide with this one right here. So what that allows me to do is keep my thumbs on the analog sticks and do all my crazy movements on the back here. Very, very beneficial, just very, very helpful. You can always see these like little levers right here, and essentially it makes the triggers significantly stronger, a lot more clicky, and makes them a lot more responsive, just significantly quicker. So this is as far as it goes, literally, because I have them down right there. You got some grip on it too, which I really like. And then on the front right there, we have the Purple Control Freak, which I am sponsored by them. Link in the description if you guys want to cop some. Mine's a little worn out, but I kind of like it like that. Like, I don't like a fresh new one, but it rises my analog stick, and I don't have to move my analog as much, and I'm able to be significantly more precise. So that's the controller your boy is rocking with. You see my controller. Now here are my controller settings. So the button and stick layout, they're default. Why? Because again, I have those paddles I just showed you on the back of the controller, so I can just leave it default because I already have these bind separately. My horizontal vertical stick sensitivity, this has actually changed. On BO6, I was on a 1.7, 1.7. For some reason in this game, a 1.7, 1.7 feels way too slow. Like, it's night and day. It's really, really weird. So I bumped it up to 1.80, and this feels a lot more like a 1.7 from BO6. I have all this off. If you want to swap your triggers and bumpers, do what's most comfortable for you. I think that's what you should do. Again, showing the controller was so important because you saw those little levers on the back that make them responsive. Plus, I'm just more comfortable having my fingers on the triggers rather than the bumpers. Controller vibration, turn this off. You a freak if you got this on. Why are your controller shaking? Take it off. It takes some time to get used to if you've had it on forever, but it is 100% worth getting used to with it off. Dead zones, obviously these are super, super important. Left stick minimum is a 7, super standard. Right stick minimum, a 7, very standard. My left stick max, on the other hand, is an 80. So the reason I change it to an 80 is because the second it hits that red line right there, I'm running at maximum speed. So it saves a little bit of time, and it makes running at full speed a lot faster. Right stick max being 100, it's a standard thing to do. So I just kept like that. This is exactly how I had it in previous COD games. For your L2 and R2 dead zones, make sure these are 0. Anything over 0, there's going to be a little bit of a delay, so I recommend turning that to 0. Moving on to their aiming controller settings, we're just going to go straight to the aiming advanced settings. I have my ADS sensitivity transition timing. This is on instant. So essentially what this does is when I go from hip fire to aiming down my weapon, I instantly get my ADS sensitivity. That's exactly how I want it. Gradually, you'll eventually get it, and then after zoom, you need to be fully zoomed in order to get it. I found instant to just be the best option here. Aim response curve type, mine's dynamic 1.0. I still believe that this is the best aim response curve type in the game. I still think this makes aim assist very, very OP. Now they did nerf rotational aim assist, so now when you're using your right stick, this purple one right here for me, you actually need to be using it when you're pointing at the enemy. Literally in last year's game, you didn't even need to touch the goddamn thing. It was just locking onto them. So dynamic does make it feel a little bit stickier. It should help you with the recent nerf of aim assist. For my custom sensitivity per zoom, I'm a 0.70. Now it does feel a little bit slow. I kind of need to experiment a little bit, just like I did with my overall sensitivity. So I've been on a 0.70 this whole time, but I'm going to try to 0.75 because it has been feeling just a little too slow in my opinion. I don't know, but 0.7, 0.7, those are the two best options in my personal opinion. Make sure your target aim assist is actually on so you can take advantage of aim assist. Moving on to our movement settings for the controller, I do have sprint assist on. Make sure this is on. It just makes sprinting significantly easier and a lot quicker. I also have the sprint assist sideways and backwards on because the omni movement is still present in this game. Mantle assist, crouch assist, I don't want want help with that, I have that off. Corner slicing's on. I personally really like it. For the slide and dive behavior, I don't find myself dolphin diving or needing to in many situations, so I just stick to slide only so I don't accidentally do it. I think hybrid is the overall best option if you can actually get the hang of swapping between the two, or if you actually find dolphin diving to be a lot more useful for you. Again, for me, I think slide only is just perfect. Automatic airborne mantle, we got this bad boy on. Sprint restore and slide maintain sprint on. I think it makes the movement a lot more fluid in my personal opinion. So after you're done kind of doing a slide and you can get right back into the sprint automatically, it's just, again, adds fluidity, makes it feel nice. The parachute behavior, I like to have it off so I can, you know, kind of get closer to the ground without it pulling on its own. Slide / combat roll behavior, this is brand new. I just have it on tap to slide. If I do tap to roll and then I'm going to start rolling more than sliding, not a fan of that. I think this is mainly for Warzone though, so it shouldn't be too big of an issue. Movement advanced settings, the only thing I changed here was changing tactical sprint activation to single tap run. I just like it more, and I've just had it like this in BO6, so I did the same here. And moving on to our combat settings, I'd like to turn weapon mount off because I find myself accidentally pressing on the right analog stick sometimes and it activates the mount. And honestly, I don't think you need mounting in multiplayer. And to my knowledge so far, there are no challenges where you actually need to be using the weapon mount. So make sure you guys turn that off. I don't think you really need it. Armor plate behavior, I have it on apply all. So instead of having to hold down triangle to apply every single plate, you hold it down for just a tad second and it applies all of them for you, which is just obviously very, very helpful. Combat advanced settings. Only thing you really need to change here is this interact / reload behavior. I have it on tap to reload. If you're playing Warzone, I think prioritize interact is the move so you can spam loot. It just makes looting a little bit easier. But in MP, tap to reload is really all you need. Everything here, I left alone. I didn't touch any of this. So get your guys' screenshot if you need it there. Overlay advanced settings, left all this default as well. Now that is going to wrap up the controller settings, but real quick, I do want to give you guys the PlayStation 5 DualSense settings I personally have on the actual PlayStation app itself. All right, now here are my personal DualSense Edge settings. Now, I know I'm gonna get asked about it a lot, but I'm gonna be honest, nothing's really changed here too much. So here's a visual representation of my button layout. So when I play default on COD, this is what all my buttons do. So again, those paddles in the back, that left one is my jumping, and then that right one is my sliding. So that's what I have it mapped to. When it comes to the dead zones for the sticks, I leave these alone, man. I don't really care to swap these out. So you're gonna see these are both default. You can kind of see them being pulled to the right a little bit, but I don't have any issues in game. So I left those both default. You guys can see that there. Trigger dead zones, left them default. Again, I don't mess with that whatsoever. The only things I do though are turn off the vibration because I don't want my controller shaking. And then the trigger effect, I make it strong. So it makes my triggers just very, very responsive and quick. So I don't got to press them all the way down. But that's gonna wrap it up for all of my controller settings in game and out of game. Now we're gonna be moving on to my graphic settings. These are pretty straightforward. So I do plan 120 hertz refresh rate. I'm literally on 1440p 120. It's the best way to play on console. Here's my brightness, 50. Left that alone, nothing too crazy. On this echo mode, left that as well to just efficiency. Going over to quality, if you guys want your game to look beautiful, look really, really nice. World weapon motion blur, turn this off. It's literally gonna turn the blur off. I don't know why you would have that on. My fidelity cast is on. I personally like it. It just kind of sharpens how the game looks, and I have it at 75. I think this is perfect. You can even go to 85. It might be a little bit too much for some of you. I think 75 is like perfect. My on-demand texture streaming, I have it on optimize and then large. And then moving on to view, I plan a 115 FOV. I don't like 120. It's too zoomed out for me. I don't really like it, so I do a 115. I think this is perfect. Sometimes I'll even go down to a 110, but that's like the sweet spot, 110, 115. You'll have to mess with it and, you know, find what works for you. ADS field of view, I have it on affected. It gives you kind of like a no recoil effect. It doesn't zoom in when you ADS, which I personally like. For my weapon field of view, I have it on wide. Essentially what this does is make my weapon look smaller on screen than it really is. I love that a lot. I don't need my weapon big on my screen. I want to see where the enemy's at and things like that. I don't, you know, so I have it on wide there. For the first person camera movement, do it on 50% least. It's just gonna reduce the camera shake, which is obviously really nice. And to wrap things up for the graphic settings, I do have inverted flashbang on. So when I get flash, instead of my screen going white, it goes black. It's not as straining on your eyes. And in my opinion, it does reduce the effects quite a bit. So it's gonna wrap up the graphic settings, very, very straightforward. Next, we have my audio settings. For my master volume, it's on 48. Anything over this is just a little too loud for me, so put what works best for you. On my gameplay music, listen, it's a new game. I'm gonna jam out to the main menu music. You might be able to hear just a little bit. I like it, it's cool. So it's on 20, it's not too loud, it's not too low, I can still hear it. Cinematic music, on the other hand, I highly recommend turning this off. So this is when you're actually in the game. You wanna hear other things like when the announcer has call outs like a UAV's up, footsteps, things like that. You don't wanna hear music, so turn this off. Effects and dialogue, on the other hand, have these cranked up. These are what I was just talking about. Footsteps, announcer call, it's like a UAV's up or something. So that's how I have my audio situated. For my audio mix, I do sucker punch, and then I throw on the asymmetrical hearing compensation, and it really enhances the audio in my opinion. I think it just makes it a little bit louder. You're able to hear so much better in my opinion. So that combination is great. After that, I just have reduced the tinnitus sound. Essentially what this does is reduces the ringing from the concussions and flashes, so they're not just super loud in your ear. I like that a lot. And then voice chat, I didn't mess with any of this, I ain't gonna lie, but that's if I want to talk smack in game chat because I want to do it and it's fun. But that's gonna wrap up the audio settings. Nothing too crazy gets changed there. And last but certainly not least, your boy got the interface settings right here. So tutorials, tool tips, I like to have this off. It's just extra stuff on my screen that I don't really care for to be there, so I just have it off. Server latency and packet loss, I recommend having on, so you can just have that information top left whenever you need it. And same goes for that network in-game alert icon, so you'll know when something's going on, like packet bursts or high latency or whatnot. For the readability, subtitles are at default, nothing crazy there. I left all that alone. Now, if you want your game to look beautiful, very colorful, and you want the colors to be enhanced, what you're gonna wanna do is go to color customization, come down here to your color filter, make sure it's on color filter 2, color filter target both, and then make world and interface color intensity 100. It's literally going to intensify the colors, make them a lot more vibrant and bold. It really does make your game look so much better. I could give you a before and after, it just won't do it justice when you're looking at your screen in person. So a little secret that not many people do, in my opinion. For the gameplay HUD, I just have it on standard. You could change it to the Ethereum one, which kind of gives you like a cool, here, I'll remove my face cam. You get like a cool zombies one. It's dope, but I like the standard for multiplayer. I can definitely change it when it comes to zombies. You got different layouts as well if you want to change that up, but I just stick to standard. We have my HUD scale, increase or decrease the scale of your HUD widgets. I want to crank this up. This is something new we haven't seen in Call of Duty. Before, you were able to kind of specifically make your mini map bigger. I haven't been able to find that, but I've left it at default. I'm gonna have to mess with it. I'm gonna scale it up just a little bit here. HUD widget visibility, you can kind of turn things on and off. So if you don't want the compass, you could turn that off. I personally don't really use it, so I could turn it off. I'll just keep it on for the sake of the vid here. Same goes for other HUD information. You got the players. I have it on abbreviated, and then you can kind of get rid of like medals if you don't want that on your screen. Again, it's up to you. Safe area, this is important in my opinion. I like to bring everything in. So my mini map, instead of it being far top left, it's a little bit closer to the center of my screen, so I can quickly glance at it whenever I have like a UAV or harp up, and then look back at the center, because that's the most important. That's where all your gunfights are going to take place. Or bottom right, you want to look at how much ammo you have, how close you are to your strings. You can quickly glance without it being too far away, and then look back at the center of your screen. So I highly recommend changing this. It definitely makes things just a lot more condensed on your screen. Minimap rotation is on. I do have this compass off. I still have it on my screen, even though I have it off here. It's really, really weird. Now, centering isn't incredibly important in Call of Duty, so I recommend having your crosshair lines on, and then the crosshair lines spread on as well. And then when it comes to the crosshair dot, turn that on, make it largest. It makes the dot significantly bigger, which you guys can kind of get a quick glimpse here in the images. So that far right one is where you want to point at enemies 24/7. It is so important, man. You have no idea. Centering is something not a lot of people talk about, but I mean, it's one of the most important things in COD. Honestly, motion reduction, you don't need to mess with any of this whatsoever. So please don't mess with it. It's just going to mess with the rest of your settings there. But other than that, I can give you guys my account and network stuff here, because there are stuff like notifications if you want to mess with those there. You could hide the party code for like a private match if you're doing something there. But other than that, man, we have the arachnophobia setting here in account network. They definitely changed that because that used to be in your interface settings. But if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns over any of the settings I gave you, leave them down below. I've been getting just so many messages about the settings, but these have worked for me, and I literally haven't touched them since messing with them the first time around, and I think that'll help you guys out as well. So let's wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. You guys all stay safe. Have a great day, and I'm out. Doses.